In our society, focus is treated like a superpower. We take supplements for it, we meditate for it, and we praise the flow state. But what if I told you that focus is actually a form of temporary brain damage? Okay, that's an exaggeration. But scientifically, focus is a process of exclusion. To focus on one thing, your brain has to aggressively ignore 1,000 other things. Sometimes, it gets so good at ignoring the world that it leaves you completely vulnerable to what's right in front of you.
Behind every moment lies a scientific wonder. I'm Kale, and welcome to SciCurious, where curiosity meets science.
It's called cognitive tunneling, and it's the reason why geniuses can miss a fire alarm and why pilots can fly perfectly functioning planes into the ground. Today, we're looking at the dark side of productivity. I'm Kale, and we're about to find out how your best trait might be your biggest blind spot. To understand how focus blinds us, we have to look at the hardware of your eyes. Your retina is not created equal. In the very center, you have the fovea, a tiny area packed with light-sensing cells that provide sharp, high-definition color vision. This is what you use to read or look at a face. Everything else is your peripheral vision, which is blurry and low-res, but incredibly sensitive to movement. When you enter a state of deep focus, your brain doesn't just think harder. It actually changes how it processes light. Through a process called selective filtering, your brain begins to suppress the signals coming from your peripheral vision. It's like a stage manager turning off all the lights in the theater except for one single spotlight. This is great for the play, but if the curtains catch fire in the darkness, the audience, your conscious mind, won't know until it's too late. Why does the brain do this? It comes down to load theory, pioneered by Professor Nili Levy. Think of your brain's processing power like a bucket of water. If you are doing a simple task, like folding laundry, you're only using a little bit of water. You have plenty left over to notice the dog barking or the smell of dinner burning. But if you are doing a high-perceptual load task like playing a fast-paced video game or solving a complex math problem, you are using every single drop of that water. When the bucket is empty, there is literally no liquid left to process external stimuli. In this state, your brain doesn't just ignore the dog barking. It fails to register the sound entirely. You are, for all intents and purposes, temporarily deaf and blind to anything outside your tunnel. You'd think that being an expert would make you better at noticing things, right? Wrong. Expertise actually makes you more prone to this type of blindness. In aviation, there's a famous case of an L-1011 jet that crashed into the Everglades. Why? Because the three highly experienced pilots were so focused on a single burnt-out light bulb on the dashboard that none of them noticed the autopilot had disconnected. They were in a cognitive tunnel. Their expertise allowed them to dive so deep into a specific problem that the big picture was edited out of their reality. This happens in offices every day. When we zoom in on a typo or a specific line of code, our brain effectively shuts down the superior colliculus. So, how do we avoid the focus trap? The answer isn't don't focus. Focus is necessary for high-level work. The key is situational awareness cycles. Special forces and fighter pilots are trained to use a technique called the scan. They focus intensely for a few seconds, then intentionally break that focus. They scan their peripherals before diving back in. It's like a swimmer coming up for air. If you're a deep focus worker, you can hack this by using the Pomodoro technique or simply by physically moving your head every 20 minutes. By forcing your eyes to change their focal length, you reset your peripheral filters. You remind your brain that the dark part of the theater still exists. Focus is a powerful tool, but it can be dangerous if you don't know how it works. You are a biological machine with a limited budget for attention. Spend it wisely. The next time you're so deep in a project that you don't hear someone call your name, just tell them your thalamus was at 100% capacity. What's the most obvious thing you've ever missed? Did you walk into a glass door? Miss a giant sign? Let's hear your stories in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button if you were focused enough to make it to the end. I'm Kale, and I'll see you once I find where I put my glasses.
Science is everywhere if you just know where to look. Thanks for watching SciCurious. Until next time.